Today, we will explore a theme that challenges our deepest perceptions: weakness. But not just the physical weakness we all know, rather the one that hides in the shadows of the mind, psychological weakness. What does it really mean to be weak? This question leads us to reflect on our own vulnerabilities and the way we face life's challenges. To guide us on this journey, we will turn to the provocative ideas of Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most influential and controversial philosophers in history. Nietzsche saw weakness not just as a limitation, but as an insidious force that permeates society and morality. He believed that weakness often disguises itself as virtue, shaping behaviors and beliefs in ways that are not always evident at first glance. Throughout this video, we will delve into the depths of Nietzschean thought to understand how weakness can manifest in subtle ways and how it influences our lives in ways we may never have considered. Prepare for an analysis that will challenge your convictions and invite you to reflect on the true nature of inner strength. For Nietzsche, weakness is not just a passive condition, but an active trap that leads us to a state of dishonesty with ourselves and the world. He argued that when we allow ourselves to be dominated by weakness, we tend to create illusions and narratives that protect us from harsh reality, but at the same time distance us from the truth. This dishonesty manifests in manipulative behaviors, where weakness seeks to hide behind masks of virtue and fabricated morality. Nietzsche saw this clearly in the way certain moralities are constructed to justify impotence and the inability to face life head-on. A classic example of this dynamic is how some people, when feeling threatened or inferior, resort to emotional manipulation to control others, creating an environment where their weaknesses are disguised as moral strength. Nietzsche describes this rejection of life and truth as a form of self-deception, where weakness refuses to accept reality as it is, preferring to create a world of conventions and values that only serve to mask its own fragility. In his words, Nietzsche states that weakness is a lie that refuses to die, a continuous rejection of authentic life and the raw truth. By understanding weakness as this insidious trap, we are challenged to recognize and confront our own illusions, seeking a life of courage and authenticity. This is the essence of Nietzschean thought, the relentless pursuit of truth, even if it forces us to face our own limitations and overcome the traps that weakness imposes on us. At the core of Nietzsche's thought is the idea of ressentiment, a concept he defines as the depreciation of the strong to justify one's own impotence. For Nietzsche, ressentiment is an emotional reaction of those who feel incapable of achieving power or greatness on their own. Instead of seeking to overcome their limitations, these people choose to devalue those who are strong, creating a narrative where their weaknesses are seen as virtues. This dynamic is central to the distinction Nietzsche makes between slave morality and master morality. Slave morality, according to him, is built on ressentiment. It is a morality that values humility, submission, and weakness, not because these are intrinsically good qualities, but because they serve to level the playing field by devaluing those who are naturally strong and assertive. In contrast, master morality is an expression of power and vitality, celebrating strength, courage, and the ability to create one's own values. Nietzsche sees Christianity as a clear example of this inversion of values. He criticizes the religion for turning weakness into virtue and strength into sin, promoting a morality that, in his view, serves to keep the strong in check and justify the impotence of the weak. For Nietzsche, this inversion is a form of institutionalized ressentiment, where slave morality imposes itself over master morality, creating a society that values mediocrity over excellence. By understanding ressentiment and slave morality, we are invited to question the narratives we accept as true and reflect on how they shape our lives and societies. Nietzsche challenges us to reject these inversions of values and seek a morality that celebrates strength, authenticity, and the creation of new values, free from the shackles of ressentiment. The psychology of weakness, according to Nietzsche, is fertile ground for dishonesty and manipulation. When we feel weak or powerless, there is a natural tendency to protect our ego by creating a facade that hides our vulnerabilities. This defense mechanism, although initially seeming like a form of self-preservation, actually feeds resentment and perpetuates a cycle of dishonesty. Instead of confronting our limitations and striving to overcome them, we often choose to manipulate others' perceptions, presenting a distorted image of ourselves. In the corporate environment, this dynamic is particularly evident. Imagine a scenario where an employee, insecure about their abilities, begins to manipulate information or take credit for others' work to appear more competent. This behavior not only undermines trust and collaboration within the team, but also creates an environment where dishonesty is rewarded, while authenticity is discouraged. Another example is a leader who, fearing the loss of their position of power, manipulates decisions and information to maintain control, rather than fostering an environment of growth and innovation. These behaviors are direct reflections of the psychological weakness Nietzsche describes. Instead of facing the reality of their limitations and working to overcome them, individuals engage in power games and manipulation, perpetuating a cycle of dishonesty that ultimately harms both themselves and those around them. Nietzsche challenges us to recognize these patterns and seek a life of courage and authenticity, where inner strength is cultivated not through manipulation, but through the acceptance and overcoming of our weaknesses. For Nietzsche, true strength does not lie in the ability to dominate others or hide our weaknesses, but in the courage to face life without masks. This authentic strength is the willingness to accept reality in all its complexity, without resorting to illusions or subterfuge. It is the ability to live according to our own values, even when they challenge established conventions and put us at odds with the status quo. Historical examples of transformative strength illustrate this idea powerfully. Leonardo da Vinci, with his insatiable curiosity and innovation, challenged the limitations of his time, exploring fields as diverse as art, science, and engineering. His strength lay in the authenticity of his vision and the courage to follow his own path, creating new paradigms that still influence our understanding of the world today. Nelson Mandela is another emblematic example. His strength was not only manifested in physical endurance during years of imprisonment, but in the moral courage to forgive and reconcile, rejecting the cycle of hatred and revenge. Mandela created new values of unity and peace in a deeply divided society, demonstrating that true strength lies in the ability to transform pain into hope and conflict into cooperation. For Nietzsche, strength is also the ability to create new values, rejecting the limiting conventions imposed on us. It is the courage to question what we have been taught and to seek a life that is truly our own. This rejection of established norms is not an act of purposeless rebellion, but an affirmation of life in its purest and most authentic form. By cultivating this inner strength, we can free ourselves from the traps of weakness and dishonesty, becoming agents of change in a world that often fears transformation. In Nietzsche's thought, authentic respect is a direct reflection of inner strength. When we are truly strong, we do not need to assert ourselves by diminishing others. On the contrary, we recognize and value strength and authenticity in others. This genuine respect arises from the understanding that each individual is a creator of their own values, and that true greatness lies in the ability to live according to these principles without submitting to external conventions. Nietzsche, however, offers a sharp critique of compassion, which he sees as a trap that perpetuates weakness. For him, traditional compassion often turns into a form of condescension, where the act of helping becomes a way to assert superiority over those who are helped. Instead of strengthening, this compassion can create dependency, preventing people from developing their own strength and autonomy. True help, according to Nietzsche, should empower, not subjugate. This means offering support in a way that encourages growth and self-sufficiency, rather than creating bonds of dependency. It is the difference between giving a fish and teaching how to fish. When we help others, we should do so with the aim of strengthening their ability to face life on their own, respecting their autonomy, and encouraging the creation of their own values. This approach not only promotes authentic respect, but also challenges the narrative of weakness that often accompanies misguided compassion. By empowering others, we contribute to building a society where inner strength is cultivated and celebrated, and where each individual is encouraged to live according to their own truth. This is the essence of authentic respect, recognizing and nurturing strength in others, as well as in ourselves. For Nietzsche, self-affirmation is the radical acceptance of life in its entirety, with all its joys and challenges. It is the willingness to say yes to life, embracing both moments of triumph and adversity without resorting to illusions or denials. This full acceptance is an act of courage and inner strength, as it requires us to face reality as it is, without masks or subterfuge. In this sense, self-affirmation is a catalyst for personal growth. When we accept life in its entirety, we become more resilient, capable of learning and evolving from each experience. This stance allows us to develop a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us, promoting a sense of authenticity and purpose that transcends the limitations imposed by external conventions. Beyond individual impact, self-affirmation has the potential to transform society as a whole. When individuals affirm themselves and live according to their own values, they contribute to the creation of a stronger and more cohesive community. This collective strength is especially evident in times of crisis, when the resilience of communities is tested. An example of this can be seen in communities that, in the face of natural disasters or economic crises, come together to rebuild and reinvent themselves, demonstrating a remarkable capacity for adaptation and renewal. These communities exemplify Nietzsche's idea that true strength arises from the acceptance and affirmation of life. By facing challenges with courage and determination, they not only overcome immediate difficulties, but also build a more solid foundation for the future. Self-affirmation, therefore, is not just a personal philosophy, but a principle that can guide society toward a state of greater resilience and vitality, where life is celebrated in all its complexity and potential. Throughout this exploration of Nietzsche's thought, we have delved into concepts that challenge our deepest perceptions of weakness and strength. We have seen how weakness, both physical and psychological, can become an insidious trap, leading to dishonesty and manipulation. Nietzsche warns us of the danger of resentment and slave morality, which devalue strength to justify impotence. In contrast, he invites us to cultivate authentic strength based on courage and self-affirmation, which allows us to face life without masks and create new values. True strength, according to Nietzsche, lies in the acceptance of life in its entirety, in the ability to say yes to all its facets, and in the rejection of narratives of weakness that limit us. This inner strength not only promotes personal growth but also has the power to transform communities, making them more resilient and cohesive in times of crisis. Now, we reach a crucial point of reflection. Are we ready to embrace life in its fullness and become agents of change? The answer to this question requires courage and honesty, as it implies confronting our own limitations and illusions. However, by accepting this challenge, we open the door to a more authentic and meaningful existence where inner strength guides us in creating a world that reflects our deepest values. I invite you to reflect on these ideas and consider how they might manifest in your own life. What steps can we take to cultivate this authentic strength and reject the narratives that weaken us? By becoming agents of change, we not only transform our own lives, but also contribute to building a stronger and more vital society.